Hello and thank you once again for listening to the Panto podcast. This week it's Andrew Agnew, a seasoned Panto performer who is probably best known as PC Plum from the children's TV show Balamory. I spent a lovely afternoon with him chatting in his gorgeous flat in Glasgow. Hope you enjoy, and if you're starting rehearsals this week, good luck for the upcoming season. So I'm joined today with Andrew Agnew. Hello.
Hello.
Welcome.
Thank you.
So Andrew, people will no doubt know you from TV as PC Plum in Balamory.
Mm-hmm. People of a certain age.
Well,
18 now it is. Yeah. I'm getting old.
How did it all begin for you?
With Balamory, basically, that was 2002, I think it was, that we started on that. And before Balamory, I'd kind of done quite a lot of other bits and pieces in Scotland, sitcom and some commercials, children's theatre and education, travelling around schools doing shows in gym halls, which was always exciting. But then Balamory was quite a big deal, but that was right back when digital telly was just starting. It really hadn't become anything, and there was this show that was then called Applecross. It wasn't called Balamory back then, and I got a casting the same as probably everybody in Glasgow that was an actor. And we all went along, and eventually it kind of whittled down after about 3 or 4 different kind of sessions of casting and different bits of script that I went in, and eventually they said, would you like to play PC Plum? And I was over the moon. And it was really exciting because I kind of almost put my little kind of tuppence worth in the character as it went along. So every time I went in to meet the producers, there would always be a little something like, can you drive? Back then I couldn't drive. So I'd be like, no, but I can go a bike. And that would be quite fun to have a little, a policeman on a bicycle cycling around the island. And they were like, okay, yeah, that's an idea. The first thing they did ask me was which character I would like to play out of them all. So they would just rhyme off all the characters, and so like a painter, an inventor, a policeman. And I do have police in my family, so that my dad used to be a policeman when I was younger. And my uncle was very high up in the police before he retired. So there's that side of it as well. So that policeman was the first one that came to mind, and I thought, well, I'm 6'2", so why not? Let's go with that. It used to matter back then; it doesn't matter anymore. So yeah, that pretty much was how I got involved with Balamory, and I think it was probably about week 3 or 4 of us filming Balamory that then it was changed to Balamory. I think they already knew what they wanted to call it, but the idea, the Applecross idea was because it was going to be based around this. It is a nursery, but a farm and different areas and stuff around it. And that little area was going to be called Applecross. And then they found Tobermory, and that's when they then wanted that, and they wanted to have something similar to Tobermory. But of course, they couldn't call it Tobermory because of the Womble. So that's why it was then Balamory. And then something to rhyme with story, I think.
Do you find you get recognised much?
I do, yeah. I do, and it tends to be in pubs now because they're all 18, 19 older. So, I mean, it can be good for somebody buying you a drink. However, can I get you a drink? That'd be marvellous. So yeah, I do. And I love it. I've always really liked that. I'm sure there's many people that do similar jobs that don't like it as much, but I'm one of the ones that I quite enjoy it. It means they watch it. If they don't ask you for a picture or mind you, if you walk about and unshaven with no anything, sometimes a picture's not great, but and it ends up on social media. But that's another story. But it's good. It's good.
For theatre, what was your first experience as a child?
Oh my goodness, that was Panto actually, and I do remember it was in Paisley, which is a place just outside Glasgow, in the town hall. I was with my gran, and I remember. I don't know what age I would have been, but I was very young because we sat upstairs, so like in the grand circle, but it wasn't really a grand circle because it's a town hall. But I do remember watching the Panto, having a great time, colours and music and everything. It was Jack and the Beanstalk. But I remember there was a man on stilts walked from below me down the centre aisle up onto the stage as the giant. And I just remember that image of looking down and seeing the top of his head, but the top of his head not being that far away from where I was. And then this huge man walking towards the stage. I think that's one of my first early memories of Panto. Can't tell you anything else about the show. Don't really know anything else about the show, but that's one big memory. And then when I was young, I did a lot of school shows. when I was kind of older, because I must have been about 4, maybe 4 or 5, something around about that age for Jack and the Beanstalk. And then school shows when I got into high school and start performing on stage, doing like Oliver and the Wizard of Oz, being a munchkin and the usual things that you do when you're a certain height, which was great. But so that was my first introduction to theatre. I didn't really see an awful lot. We didn't come into Glasgow very often as a family to theatres. It was if theatre came to us, which was why one of the reasons when I graduated, the first job that I did was a TIE, theatre and education job, because I always remember, these groups coming around schools and doing great stuff, and you would literally all just sit on the floor in your gym hall and they would just put a set up at the end and that was just amazing, to create that thing in a school. So yeah, lots of really happy memories of that time,
And at what point did you think, this is for me?
I think I've always known. It's interesting because I trained to be a chef. When I left school, I went to be a chef for about 8 months. I can cut a lovely onion, but that's as much as that I'm kind of good at nowadays. But I kind of found it. My family were in hotel business. My dad was a hotel manager. After he left the police, that's the business he went into because he could get a licence because he used to be a policeman. Back then, police, money and etc. wasn't great. So when he then started to have a family, they just needed more money. So he changed jobs, and I was brought up in hotels and working from young age doing bits and pieces. So it just kind of felt as if it was natural for me to then go into that business. So when I was at school, I had an interest in cooking, well, eating, but cooking, and then went to try and be a chef. But when I was doing that, I kind of thought, this isn't what I should be doing, because the singing side of it and the acting side of it and all the amateur theatre that I was involved in, that was taking up more time than the studying. And I just thought, I'm studying the wrong thing here. So, and I was only 17 or 16 and a half maybe then, because I went to drama college when I was 17. I was very young to go to drama college. I think too young. I graduated when I was 20. I now look at what I've done over the years and think, what did I know about emotion and about anything at 20 that I could say, yes, I'm going through this. I was quite a quiet child, But that's how I got into the drama college, really. It's weird.
And the comedy side of it, when did that become apparent?
That, for me, I think that was more to do with finding because as a slightly quieter child, I started kind of, that kind of way when there's a bit of bullying going on at school and you try and then cover that up with a bit of comedy. And I'm not saying that I was a class clown because that's very easy for me to say that I was the class clown. I wasn't. I was witty, and people found me entertaining and funny, and that's really what kind of started with my mind going, this gets a reaction. This diffuses the situation, and actually it did quite a lot when I was younger, and then when I got a bit more confidence, when I started kind of being a bit surrounded by like-minded people. When I went to drama college, you've got a group of people who are all there for the same reason. They all want to perform. Some of them are maybe kind of a bit loud. Some of them are not so loud. And I kind of sat in the middle because I could do both. I could certainly sit down and be quiet, but if I needed to be, then I could crack out a couple of jokes. Not actual jokes, because I'm terrible at telling jokes. Somebody says, tell me a joke, and I'm like, I've no idea. I can never tell a joke. However, but I think that's kind of where it came from. I think it was confidence and people around me. And again, with the amateur companies that I was involved in, that kind of just layered all the little kind of, all the things that I needed just to have the confidence to try and be funny. And then again, it's education, isn't it? You then watch comedians and you watch a big Victoria Wood fan, big Dorothy Paul fan, that style of comedy. There's a Scottish programme which is on every Hogmanay actually called The Steamy, and I used to watch that all the time because I loved the patter. I loved the turn of phrase that they had. It's hilarious. It's hilarious. Francie and Josie. These people, these old and actually I've got friends that do a tribute to Francine Josie, and they're hilarious. I saw it last week. And it's great that that's still ongoing. It's still alive. People can go and see this. Not original, but it's there and it's as good. It's not the same people, but it's as good as it really is. But that's when I found my style of comedy, and being surrounded by funny friends now. Got a lot of people who are funny, and that's good. That allows you to be funny.
So never a down moment then.
That's a different story. No. Well, do you know what? You always try and look on the bright side, don't you? You only have to. You always try and look on the bright side. But yeah. So, game for a laugh.
Yeah. As a child, then, how did your friends find getting into theatre?
They're very supportive. I had a few friends who kind of wanted to do something similar, but they didn't ever get into it professionally. I've got a lot of friends who still do it in amateur companies. I was a member of the Johnson Phoenix Theatre Group. They'll love me that I've mentioned them. When I was 15, and I always thank them for this because they literally gave me the feet that I needed to go on stage. And I've got lifelong friends there. I'm still friends with them, and I'm actually the patron of their club now, which is a great honour. And they do really great stuff. I go and see their shows. They do 2 every year, and I go and see them, and they're brilliant. So from being 15 onwards, those guys have stuck by me. They're a great bunch of people. There's other clubs as well. There's a Paisley club, and there's another Johnson club that I'm equally as thankful to. Because you go around a wee bit, don't you? And when you're younger and you do amateur theatre, you kind of, particularly if you're a guy, they're screaming out for guys. You can pick and choose, but they're great. It's some great people. But my own school friends and stuff, I very rarely see people from school now. But people I grew up with are still, they've still got them. They're still there. They're still there. At stage door usually, which is nice.
So how did you approach Panto? Was that before the PC Plum character, or was that after?
The jobs that I do now in Panto was pretty much after, because before I played an Ugly Sister years ago, which was kind of round about the same time as Balamory, but Balamory wasn't really what it is now. It wasn't then. It had not long started. I think we started airing on television in the September, so that would have been that season. It would have been that Panto season just straight away. So it would have taken a wee bit of time just to for Balamory to find its feet a wee bit. And I did Ugly Sister in a theatre just outside Glasgow, and I loved it. So that was my first kind of intro to a professional side where people come and they bring to the Panto what they do. Because that was very alien to me, younger, seeing kind of local pantomimes when you've got some great actors that are all coming together and they're telling you, a fairy tale with jokes and maybe a bit of slapstick. Whereas you now have singers, you have maybe a magician, you maybe have certainly a comedian and a very seasoned dame that's coming about. So you're collecting these people. I worked with the Ugly Sister that I was with, had done it for 20 odd years, and of course I was in straight off the street going, hiya, what lipstick do I need to buy? So that was where I was back then. But since then, Balamory kind of allowed me then to go on and do other jobs, and having worked with UK Productions for such a long time, which I love working with them. They're such a brilliant company. They really trust me and allow me to do what I can do, and it's great. I mean, the things that I've learned from people that I've worked with, it's just could write a book. We could all write a book.
So how was it though when the reaction from Balamory to actually stepping on that stage the very first time as the PC Plum sort of character?
It's amazing. We had done 2 arena tours with Balamory as well, so by the time we kind of slotted a Panto in there as well. So I was very used to being on stage. You kind of disappear when you're doing television for a while because you literally get locked in a studio and you're filming, you're churning out. Where Balamory, we filmed it like a soap opera. So we were filming over 2 teams. You were filming 16 episodes over a fortnight. So I know it sounds like 8 a week, but it's, you do it over a 2-week period, and then you swap over kind of thing. So it is like a soap opera. We did so many episodes. So you disappear, and then you come home and you learn lines for the next day, and it's constant. It just churns over. So then you get back onto stage. Basically, you're taking what you've done in the studio, you're taking what you've done in the studio and you're putting it back onto a stage. When we did the Balamory tour, music starts, step out, and the place goes crazy. And it's all the people that have been watching the show. That's the thing, the people that have been watching the show in their living rooms. We've been in studios not knowing how good or bad or indifferent that it's been, and then you walk onto that stage and people go crazy. And then to take that into Panto, then it's the same. It's the similar people. They've then seen Balamory on stage, or they've seen it on television, and you come out as Wishy or as Buttons or as someone, and you just get such a great response because they can't believe that they're seeing you off the television, particularly because I'm preschool. It's a particular age that still find that difficult to understand sometimes. But it's great. I love it. And we still do references. I still do the old Balamory reference, and it gets a great response.
Off the mums and dads as well.
Oh yeah, I mean, gosh, the mums and dads that tell me that thank you very much because of you I could go and wash my hair, and there's things like that. You're just like, okay, and it doesn't make sense to me, but yeah, you're like, well, thanks very much because I know that if I put my child down there and I disappear for 5 minutes, I come back, I know exactly where they're going to be. They're still going to be sitting watching. That's lovely. That's a lovely thing to hear. But oh gosh, yeah, it's great. Love it.
What made the leap then from actually being on the boards to the directing?
That came through television, really, because when I was working on Balamory, I worked with a great team, and they then went on and had their own production company. So I went with them, and there was a television programme called Me Too, which I directed quite a lot of that actually, and I did a lot of training, television directing on that. And then a couple of other CBeebies programmes, Willie and Tig and My Pet and Me, which I've also done. So that kind of gave me the directing brain. I kind of always had that, I think, because when I was younger, I used to direct for amateur companies. But again, it's very different because you almost feel as if it's like a teaching side of things because you're having to kind of explain things slightly differently. So later on, when I was working on Pantos, I think I got the confidence again from the people that I was working with to really understand the job, and you really understand what you're doing. And then I was offered to direct one year, and I said, absolutely, I would love to do it. Again, just to put your own kind of stamp on what you think is important from the year, because I think Panto in a way is just kind of summing up. It's obviously a fairy tale story with fun and comedy and everything, but you kind of have to bring everything from that year into it as well, so that we're all laughing at the same things, and we all know, because it's all about things that are going on in the UK and things that are funny on television, and that I find that quite interesting. I find that quite good that you can bring all of that to Panto as well, and the people that are sitting watching it are watching your vision of things as well as you being on stage. My only issue is that I never get to see it. I'd love to watch it. I'd love to sit in the audience and watch the Pantos that I direct now, because I think I'd quite enjoy them.
What was your first directing?
That was Sleeping Beauty in the Sunderland Empire a few years ago. Yeah, which was, that's a baptism of fire if I would have had one, because it's a massive, beautiful theatre. It's one of my favourite theatres. It's actually a great theatre. The people that run it are lovely. It's all super. But to take that, and I also had a great cast as well. We've got really great casts, and we just worked really well together. And I think they were really supportive of me because they knew it was my first time. But it was good. I enjoyed it. It was fun. It's good fun. I'm in the midst of doing it for this year as well, and I've just got the script sent away and everything with all the new ideas and everything in it. So that's quite a nice position to be at. So all the actors will be getting their scripts landing on the doorstep this week. So that'll be fun to see what they think of it.
And where are you this year? I'm
in New Brighton, doing Aladdin at the Floral Pavilion, which I'm excited. I've been there before. It's lovely. It's a great theatre. Lovely theatre. But actually doing this very show, the last time I was there, I think it was 7 years ago, and I was doing Aladdin as well. So I'm really looking forward to going back. I'm down in a few weeks. So it'd be nice to see some familiar faces.
Is there a particular favourite that you like to play?
Oh, this is interesting. I've been asked this before. It's quite difficult to answer. I do like... This will be good actually this year, because for this year's Wishy, and I love pantos that you're included in a family. I know that sounds silly, but like Wishy's great because you've got a mum and you've got a brother, so you're very much part of the story. And I know a lot of maybe pantos out there, when you play the comic or you're playing the silly character, you tend to be sitting on the outside. You don't really have much to do with the plot. If they were to take you out of the panto, it would still have the same effect. The story would still be the same because all these characters are added in. And Wishy's the same. I mean, that's the same. You're added in, but you have more to do with it because you're with them more often. But for the story aspect of it, probably my favourite is Smee in Peter Pan. Again, because it's a bit more story driven. Because you're involved with the Captain Hook, and it's nice to be the misguided sidekick of the baddie for a change, because that's not the case in any other pantos really. So I think Smee's good, and the way we do it as well, we have acros involved in it, so the nitwits are involved. So I get to do a bit of a tumbling act, which is quite fun. I call it my Christmas diet. So that's always good fun. And Peter Pan's so magical with the flying and everything, it's just beautiful. So I think that one probably kind of ticks a lot of the boxes. I don't know, it's like picking a favourite child. I can't do it. Buttons is a good one. That's always a favourite. I think a lot of people go, oh, I love to play Buttons, and I do. I loved it. But I think I'll stick with Smee. Final answer.
How was it then when you were an ugly sister, and how did that come about?
That was really good. I loved it. I mean, I thought when I got into this business and I got into Panto style in particular, I was gunning for the dames. I was literally like, I'm an ugly sister. This is what I want to do. Get me in a dress immediately. This is where I need to be in my life. And so the first thing I did was Ugly Sister, and I loved it because, again, it's a bad side. It's nice to be booed. I'm partial to the boos. So it's quite good to go in and get that reaction from the audience, which is very different from the cheering and the laughing. Obviously, dames, the uglies are funny as well, but they have that great scene with the invitation ripping up and everything. So that was really, really great fun. And running off and getting costume changes in this, and it's a totally different show. You're doing a very different show because the choreography off stage is as important as the choreography on stage. And I think probably in a few years, let's see how the face goes, I'll probably return to the old dame, get an apron back on and a mop cap, because I really want to. I want to do it all, actually. I quite fancy kind of working my way around all the characters, because they're all quite interesting roles, But I love an ugly. Hilarious. I'm getting better at it. The face is getting better. It's more useful.
And where did you find your inner lady?
Well, again, that stems back to me talking about the Victoria Wood and the Dorothy Paul and the people that I watched growing up, the comedy geniuses really that I absolutely loved. So that was good. That was quite easy for me to kind of slot into that. And then you see these people, Stanley Baxter, these greats, that Ricky Fulton, Jimmy Logan, that I would see up in Glasgow when I was, slightly younger. And you would really learn so much from them. And also we have Elaine C. Smith. I mean, Elaine up here doing the Glasgow Pantos, before I would go away, or their runs would be slightly extended, you can always try and catch, these great people, these people that have worked with greats. It's always the way, isn't it? It kind of almost moves a generation, and they bring it all with them. That was one of the great things with working with Sue Pollard, who I love and is a lovely friend of mine. I've worked with her twice. And really early on in my Panto career, I worked with Sue. She just taught me absolutely everything. Anything there was to learn from comedy on a stage, I was standing next to her, so I was standing next to a great, and she's worked with the greats. So it's just everything just kind of filtering down through people that come and do this tradition. But yeah, I'll be back in a dress, I'm sure, at some point.
Anybody you'd like to team up with?
Oh, goodness.
To be your sparring partner.
Wow, for uglies?
Yeah.
Wow. Who would that be? I'd probably stick to someone Scottish, actually. There's actually a very funny guy. He does Tron Pantos in Glasgow, Darren Brownlee, his name is. He's great. I think we'd be great uglies together. You know, we work well together. You know, we're quite fun. He does the very great. Because the Pantos that they're drawing are great, but he tends to play either the silly character or the dame, depending on how it's written. Because they take the Pantos and then they put them in a mixer and then they send them back out again. So it's very different. So probably Darren. That'd be fun.
Has there been anybody that you've worked with that was an absolute joy? You mentioned there's Sue Pollard.
Yeah. Yes, I mean, there's loads of lovely people. I loved working with Vicky Entwistle, actually. She was super. She was Janice Battersby. She's great. Worked with her in Son. Faye Tozer is an absolute dream. And she's kicking her height at the moment on Strictly, but she's doing so well. I'm rooting for her. But she is as nice as you think she is. When you watch her, you go, yeah, she looks lovely. She is, believe me. And actually, I was really starstruck with Faye because I'm a big Steps fan. But there's some great people. Wendy Craig I worked with, who was just an absolute dream. You know, she's just lovely. And again, when you see people doing the things that they've done for such a long time, fairies or, and you just go, that's how it's done. You know, they just know what they're doing. And there's some great dames out there that you work with as well. Bobby Crush, lovely guy, great dame. Philip Meek. I could go on and just name everybody. But I've been lucky with the people that I've worked with. Really have. There's some really good people that do this job.
Anything you'd like to achieve still within Panto?
I've never done Jack and the Beanstalk on stage as an adult, so I'd quite like to play do Jack and the Beanstalk to Billy or whoever it is that's in. Idle Jack or whoever. No, it's not Idle Jack because he's called Jack. So I think I'd quite like to do Jack and the Beanstalk. Some pantos are done less and less nowadays. Dick Whittington, Mother Goose is a part that I played years ago. I did it in Kilmarnock with my lovely friend Liam Dolan, and we had an absolute laugh. I mean, talk about working with your friends. This was the best thing. And we did a really great show, but I loved playing Mother Goose. And I think probably as the years go on again, I would like to do it again and just continue to do it because it's very unusual. Again, similar about the story thing that you get as the comic. You'd very rarely get the story. With Mother Goose, you are the story and you're the dame. You're ticking all the boxes. And you've got 40 dresses. So there's nothing wrong with that. So I think probably I'd love to play Mother Goose again. I'd like to do Jack and the Beanstalk on stage. But there's loads of things around the corner. There's loads of things, isn't there? That's what Panto's about. What
about writing?
Well, I do dabble with writing a bit sometimes, but there's people that do it better than me, and I like to just let them do it. I'm quite good at kind of doing things off the cuff, and I'll get together with some people and we'll come up with some ideas. Again, since I've mentioned Liam, we did something similar to that. But again, he'll do the writing side of it, so we'll do a bit of a blab, get some funnies out, and then he scripts it because he's good at that. And then I'm happy to go, oh, that works, that's great, let's do this will be exciting. But as far as me sitting down and writing a panto, I don't know whether or not I would last very long because I did do it many moons ago and it's the longest thing you'll ever read in your life and it's probably not very funny if I was to read it again. So I'll leave it to the people that are good at it.
When the script arrives at your door, do you make many revisions to it?
Well, not now because I've already done that because I'm directing this year as well, so I was sent the script for Aladdin about a month and a half ago, maybe slightly longer. And so that's the template of everything. And then the cast, you get the cast on board. So then what I try and do because I'm directing it, is I then try and put a bit of the references of the cast, change some of the jokes, just make it just that wee bit fresher, add in some current stuff that's going on, get involved in the music choices, etc. And then I've sent it all away. So basically this script is going to arrive this week. The there will be changes during rehearsals, because there always is, because that's what you do when you get things up on its feet and you're doing it live. There will always be changes, but I do less and less now because I've already done the work, you know. So we'll see. Other people will change. Yeah. It will land on other people's doorsteps, and then they'll be going, "Oh, I'm not doing that. Oh, that or that'll be interesting. Or let's change this joke, or let's tweak that." And again, because you all bring your own experience, don't you? And then there's also a way that, well, I always said something really embarrassing when I was younger, working with in Malvern, I think. And the script that came, and I'm going to say it again, it's going to sound weird, was written in an English dialect, so it's kind of had a lot of different kind of things. Obviously, me being Scottish, the joke lands slightly differently on where it is on and how I would say it, unless I was saying it in a particular accent. And I did bring it up in front of absolutely everybody in the rehearsal to the director, saying, "Can I change some of this because it's written in English?" And then thought, "Oh, idiot." But that's the only thing sometimes that I change. If there's something that comes in, I go, "That's actually, the joke would be funnier there." Or this, or I can make it slightly, because of my accent, it can tweak it slightly. Because we have, in Scotland, we're very lucky to have a lot of funnies that come from our dialect, you know, Glasgow slang and all the patter, the Glasgow patter.
How is it then transferring down south, or south of the border, shall I say, compared to the humour?
Well, it's not that different. It's just how you get to the joke. You know, it's really not that different. There's things that transfer from the Glasgow accent. There's words that I couldn't get away with because some of the slang stuff and some of the kind of innuendo or the take of it's slightly different down there, because maybe either the word isn't heard of or it would get lost. So there's things that you can get away with and there's things that you can't. And it's probably the same vice versa, you know. Things coming up here, we'd be like, "Oh, we won't say that." But I'm actually quite lucky as well, because I work sometimes I work more north, so like Newcastle, Sunderland, Liverpool kind of areas. We're very similar. A lot of our jokes and our rhythms, and you know, it's all very similar. So it's easy. It gets much easier. I think I was aware of it more when I was younger, when I first started doing it, maybe going down to kind of surrounding areas of London or something. I was just maybe very cautious of it. Whereas now I don't, because I think it's more accessible now. I think we're all quite easy. And I was very aware that I had to enunciate and make sure everybody understood what I was saying. Whereas now you're like, you know, just relax. It's there. It's fine. You know, comedy's comedy. We're all going to laugh. And then if you don't get a laugh, you think, right, how am I saying this? Is this not? And then you tweak it, and then the laugh's there, and you go, right, okay, I know exactly what it is now. Yeah, and I mean, you're always learning, aren't you? Always learning.
During the summer, then, you said that you had an unexpected amount of time off, and you ended up directing or taking over directing a one-woman play.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit more about that, please?
Sure. Yeah. Well, this was a production of 51 Shades of Maggie, which was absolutely filthy. I don't need to explain. So 51 Shades of Maggie, you can use your imagination what it's based on. And I was working with the lovely Leah McRae, she's famous for a few Scottish things. River City, she's in, Gary Tank Commander. But she's super. And it was her and I, so it's a one-woman show, as you said. So she's playing all the characters, doing all the bits. And her and I in a room, and we just had a brilliant time. We laughed, and she's super. You know, she's great. She's so funny, very dedicated, and good. You know, she's good at it. Yeah, and it toured Scotland, and it had rave reviews. So yeah, I was delighted.
So you said you were brought on board to redirect.
Well, yeah, because it's toured before. I think there's two versions of it. There's 51 Shades of Maggie, 52 Shades of Maggie, and it's an Irish play. So it's based over there, and I think they did it down south as well. I think it kind of did a bit of a tour. There's been like a Newcastle Maggie. There's been a Liverpool Maggie. There's been I think Leah actually did more of the tour. So that was maybe about 5 years ago for that production. And it was really popular, so they wanted to bring it back, and I got involved with it this time. and kind of tweaked it slightly and made it more of a play, because Leah's, I mean, she's so good, and it's like a kind of stand-up to a certain extent, or it could have been quite of a stand-up play, if you get the idea that I mean. Whereas this was more, we made it more of an actual story play, with a kind of proper start, middle and end, really. And it was really well received, and I was delighted with it. For something that I kind of thought I was going to watch through my fingers, because it was, it's just language, it's kind of quite choice. But it was great, good fun. I would do it again. I've been doing a play over the last couple of years called Gone But Not Forgotten, which was written by a local guy, and we kind of adapted it. He'd given us permission to adapt it into a comedy, because initially it was a kind of dark comedy, but it didn't really have an awful lot of the big belly laughs. So Liam Dolan and Michelle McManus, myself, Kat Harvey, May Miller, some just local folk, kind of all got together in a rehearsal room, and we tweaked the play, and we did it 2 years ago, and it was really successful, and we got invited back to do it again at the beginning of this year. Anyway, the point being is that for February coming, they want us to write something different, totally new. So I'm about to start doing a wee bit of workshop stuff on that from Monday, which will be quite fun to see what we come up with. I don't know what it's going to be yet. Just probably something that will come out of caffeine, no doubt, on the days. And then hopefully that'll go for something in towards February. So I tend to work with them kind of at the beginning of the year on something. And then as the year goes on, just whatever kind of comes up, plays that I direct or things that I'm in. This year was weird because I got a thing that was supposed to be doing that was cancelled over the summer. So I had the whole of the summer off this year, which I never normally have. I went to Spain. I don't do that in the summer holidays. We just don't. I normally go after Christmas and do the big Panto beach thing. But I got a chance to do that, which was nice.
Is that your ritual after pantomime then?
Oh yeah. After Panto, basically, just go and lie on a beach for a week. It's great. You need the sun after, because you spend a lot of time inside, so it's quite nice to just go and lie and chill and then just kind of have your own holiday, have our own Christmas, because a lot of the time when you're working, you don't get really time to do anything, socialise, have a long lie, which is always nice.
For pantomime, how do you think it can evolve as a genre?
Oh my goodness. Well, because I mean the pantos, they're just getting bigger and bigger, aren't they? They're really just, I think everything's getting thrown at pantos these days, effects, and the more that we can do graphically, and if big set pieces and all this stuff, and it's lavish as can be. But I'm wondering if getting back to the tradition of it, I think it's almost kind of gone from being so variety music hall based and everybody doing their tricks and doing their bits and the story, telling this story, to these lavish extreme productions, which are great, by the way, and I love being involved in them. They look super, it feels great. But to evolve from that, I don't know why you would either, unless you were to pare it back slightly and go slightly back to more of the routines and the traditions that make Panto famous, or you just keep pushing and seeing what happens, see where we can go with it, because it's endless. The amount of people that go and see pantomimes, it's just phenomenal for these runs to run for an entire Christmas season, and the place is full and the kids love it, and for a lot of them it's their first introduction to theatre. So I don't think we want to play about with it too much, because I think it needs to keep the tradition and keep the grounding that has made it famous and made it last as long as it has. And I think it's nice to put in a little tweak there and stunt casting, but as long as the people can do the job, as long as they can come on and do it, then if it's not broke, don't fix it.
You said that you are involved with the nitwits and the physicality. How does that come about then? Because when you're playing such a silly character, the lovable silly character.
Yeah, well, it happens right at the end of the show, so I'm on my hands and knees by that point anyway. I love it. I love getting involved with it. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm maybe bigging myself up here. I'm certainly not an acro. You know, these guys come in and they do it. They're the guys that you come to see. They basically use me as a tool to jump over and jump through, jump round, for me to hold them up. I do a couple of jumps on, jumps off, you know, it's all quite, and then they all pile on top of me and stuff. It's quite, what I do is quite basic. It's high energy because it's constant and it's fast, and I can't be in the way. You know, I've got to be exactly where I need to be for the exact time that I need to be there, and because you don't want to hold it up. Yeah, these guys are, you know, they're good at what they do, but I love it. I love being part of it because, again, it feels right for Panto. It feels right that you're doing something like that, because you should come off the stage absolutely soaking. You should be like, the people in the audience should be knowing that they're getting their absolute, because it's not cheap to come and see a Panto. You know, they must be getting their money's worth. And I feel when I come off after doing Peter Pan, having worked that towards the end of the show, that, you know, it's good. And if to drop a couple of pounds as well, it's always that's always good over Christmas. But I love it. It's such a thrill. It really is.
Is there a favourite part of the Panto for you?
I love a slapstick scene. I love a slosh, actually. I do love a slosh scene. I've got one this year. I'm delighted about, because I've missed it over the last few years. You don't tend to have them in Peter Pan. I've done Peter Pan or Sleeping Beauty, and there isn't really much of a slosh. We do a bit of a slosh in Sleeping Beauty, but it's not as extreme. This is a proper laundry, buckets of slop and all sorts. You know, paddling pools the lot, shoots and all sorts. So that, I'm delighted about that this year. That'll be my nitwit act. That's going to be exhausting. But I love that because it takes you back to, you know, the basic. You know, the plank, ducking under a plank, hitting the back of the head. You know, it's all that. It takes you back to that, and that's what the kids need to see. I think, you know, that's what when they come to Pantos, they need to see these things. It's all very well and good doing your number one, Christmas number one, and your lovely princess singing beautiful songs, and you know, they've all got their place, and I love that as equally. But this, you don't see that anywhere else unless you go to the places that do it well, you know, Great Yarmouth or Blackpool or, you know, wherever. But that's my favourite bit of the show. That's my favourite bit. And the song sheet. I quite enjoy the song sheet.
Yeah, I've seen you do song sheet many a time with children. Any particular memories with that?
Oh, there's always a mop on standby. Bless them. And that happens. I mean, I know that sounds like a joke, but these things, you know, they do come. Every now and again, they do happen. But yeah, you've got kids just running riot on stage, and because they think it's a playground, and it's quite, as we all know, it's not a safe place to be. You know, you've got a pit in front of you, and you've got things. Everything's dark, everything's bright. It's either dark or bright. It's one or the other. You know, it's not the easiest place to run about. And sometimes you get kids that go, "Oh, look at me," and I love that. That's why we do it. Having kids up on that stage with a bit of personality that can come on and tell a couple of jokes and make people laugh, you know, saves me 5 minutes. You know, it's great. But it's enjoyable. And also to get them singing up in front of their mums and dads or whoever's with them, that's fun. I always get them, you know, I don't know what we'll be doing this year. I think I've got an idea that it might be something to do with a fish, but we'll see.
Really?
Oh, possibly. They'll be everywhere. Oh, all ages of sharks will be in Panto this year.
Oh. Whereabouts do you find what's current?
What's current? So, I have a nephew. I've got a 4-year-old nephew. So that helps me with kind of preschool things, television, what kids are watching, what they like, what's interesting them. And I do a little bit of, I help out with some kids singing lessons and things like that sometimes. And it's always good to know what they like to sing. You know, so that's always good when they're kind of talking about new bands or new people that you can, and you think, oh right, okay, I'll keep my eye on them. So I do it through the year. I make lists. I got pads and I sit and I write lots of ideas of things that are, you know, happening. Not necessarily political. That's there. That happens. You know, you can't miss that in the news. That's there, and sometimes it's a gift. Some of these people that are about that,
yes,
you know, say
a certain dance.
Yes, yes, exactly. That say and do certain things. So that's, you know, these are gifts. You know, that's a gift. But I'm more interested in what the kids are doing and what the kids are thinking, because at the end of the day, for me, I need to kind of look at that area and get that right. And if you get that right, then the parents are happy because they're watching the kids. You know, kids are watching the show, parents watch the kids watching the show, and I think that's lovely. Oh, of course, the adults are there for a laugh and do what they do as well. But I know what I'm like when I go anywhere with my nephew. Every time somebody laughs or anything, or he laughs, I look at him. You know, so it's just nature, and that's if you gauge it there. For me, it works. You know, and then there's the innuendos for the adults that go over the kids' heads, but that's why we love it. You know, the little cheeky moments.
Do you find yourself as well when you watch, for instance, CBeebies, and have you ever come in and caught yourself on the TV?
Oh yeah, all the time. It's not on just now, but every now and again, even years where you would pass by, you know, when televisions used to be in shop windows and things, and you would be on, you're like, oh my goodness, or you're sitting in a cafe or something, and it comes on up on the television, and you're like, oh, please put that off. It's worse because I'm normally singing and dancing and twirling round by the coloured houses. And I'm very proud of it, don't get me wrong, I'm not embarrassed, I never get embarrassed, but I just go, oh my goodness, let's watch something else.
It's kind of superstardom in a way, really.
Oh, you know, we had, at one point of filming, we had a Beatlemania thing that went on in Tobermory when we were up filming in Mull. And it was all over the press, and they were calling it toddler tourism, this new article and this boom of parents that were taking kids to see Balamory because it was on their television. And we were filming at the time, so we had all these people asking them to be quiet, or, you know, requesting the shush to do 5 lines at a time, because you can't really ask kids to be quiet for too long. So we were just doing wee bits and pieces, and if they turned the camera around, which they have done and showed it at one point, but it was just all buggies, loads of prams, parents, people on shoulders, just watching us film with a daisy bus outside. I mean, that's phenomenal. It really is. We never ever thought it was going to be that. We never did, when it was a digital programme, and then eventually it really took off, and people they were voting with their feet, really. You know, they were kind of saying, we need more of this. And then when we had the songs recorded, we were like, yeah, we're fine. The music's going to do this for us. We loved it. Just loved it.
Would there ever be a reunion?
I don't know. I mean, we're all friends. We're all still friends. So Miss Hooley, who's Julie Wilson-Nimmo, her son's my godson. So we meet up a lot. Actually, I'm seeing them next week at a Halloween party, which will be very exciting. And Juliet Kadza as well. She's here. She's a very good friend of mine. But we see each other a lot. When Miles Jupp obviously is a very successful comedian as well, so he tours about and does his thing. And whenever he's in Glasgow, we all get together and go and see him, and then go for dinner or some drinks and stuff. So we do keep in touch, so much so. Whether we ever do anything Balamory wise in front of a camera again, I don't know.
A middle-aged Balamory sketch.
Middle-aged yeah, exactly. We unfortunately we lost Mary Riggins, who played Susie Sweet a few years ago, so we would be a man down. It would feel a bit wrong to do it without Mary as well. So there's also other reasons, but I mean, we would certainly love to, because it's got such a great place in all our hearts. Yeah. We would need to get Rod back from Vegas. Spencer is back over, and he lives in Las Vegas, so we'd need to get him back over. We'll do a GoFundHim page. Could get him back over. Yeah, that'd be great.
So have you ever taught Panto anywhere else apart from the UK?
No, I don't think so. No, it's all been UK. I've done a few telly pantos, so they've gone elsewhere. You know, we did a Balamory panto, which, you know, you can see Balamory anywhere, and CBeebies panto I did as well. But as far as live stuff, you know, it's purely been, it's England really, mostly for me. I tend to come down, you know, south of the border. I love working down south, so it's. I love Glasgow too. It's great. I mean, there's some great pantos in Glasgow that I very rarely get to see because I'm always away. But there's some great talent in Scotland. Great panto variety talent in Scotland. And thankfully, I do call a lot of them my friends, which is nice.
would you like to take part in the Easter and summer pantos as well now?
Absolutely. That's a great thing. I'd love to do that, actually. I was talking to some friends about that. The Easter things are coming. They're more and more popular, and now I'm seeing summer as pantos as well. If I could do panto all year round, I mean, I would be in my suitcase. That would be packed and I'd be gone. Yeah, it would be. I'd love it. I'd love it. And they're just getting more and more successful, aren't they? I keep seeing on the social media, you keep seeing all these things cropping up, and yeah, no, I would do it.
What's life like living out of a suitcase for a lot of the year?
I am so used to it now that I don't even think about it. I'm so actually I've got a friend come. We're kind of almost house swapping. This Christmas, I've got a friend coming up here to stay, Gary Turner, who I did Panto in Basingstoke with a couple of years ago. He was in Emmerdale and a few other bits and pieces. So I think he's coming. He's staying up here. So we tend to kind of help each other out as well. So it is out of a suitcase, but you tend to go to kind of nicer places, and I've got some nice digs sorted for New Brighton. I don't mind it much. I don't mind it so much. And I'm going to friends for Christmas as well. So that's the thing. That's the thing about being away from home, is that I go away for the full time. So I haven't had Christmas with my family for 10 years or so. A long time. Christmas Day, I mean, obviously I see them around. They come down after Christmas or before it, and we have a little mini thing. They come and see the show, and we do some things then. But Christmas Day, I'm normally with friends, or, saying, room for one more, please.
But that's what Christmas is about, though, isn't
Absolutely.
it? It's about being with friends and family.
Yeah, this one will be fun, because I'm going to some friends that are local, and we have a good time. And they're Panto people, so they'll, they understand. They understand.
Any bad experiences in pantomime?
Not really. I mean, I've certainly not had any experiences that have been that come to mind. The only unfortunate things is when the weather affects Panto. I think that's quite a big thing just now, and can be quite a bad experience for audiences that are really looking forward to it, and then shows are getting cancelled because of snow. And that happened to me last year for the first time, actually, and I felt really bad, because I felt as if I should be performing. I should have been on stage. I was literally backstage in a costume, and the audience are all there. We're there, they're there, and we just couldn't. A lot of people couldn't get to us. And with that, also a lot of our electrics went down in the theatre because of the snow melting onto the roof and into the thing, and a long story, but it's just a very unfortunate time when that happens, because you feel really bad, because you're standing there going, I can't physically do anything, I did go out to the foyer and walk about the foyer for 20 minutes and speak to people, and they were rebooking tickets to come back and stuff, and it was all, it works out, but kids get so disappointed and they don't really understand. They're like, well, why? There's a stage and there's an actor. Why is there not a panto? So that's probably the kind of the worst it's felt. But I've been very lucky, touch wood, that there's not really been any bad experiences, thankfully.
What about the old dreaded lurgy over Christmas?
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? I'm quite good. I do a little aloe drink thing that I take every day, and I take a Barocca every day. So I'm normally all right. The tiredness, it's normally a tiredness in my voice that I'll get, and that actually happens really early on in the run. Normally, it's normally like the first few days, and I think it's just because I don't shut up. If I just don't be quiet long enough. When you're doing, because when you're directing it and you're taking it and you're constantly talking, when you're not acting, you're still talking. Do you know what I mean? So that kind of eventually, when the pressures of the first kind of press night, or the previews first, and then maybe the press night, and then once that's over and done with, your body kind of goes, oh my goodness, right, this has happened, and that's maybe when it starts to attack. It doesn't get to extreme, but I'm always very, very aware of it. Very aware of it. I am also very fortunate, and I'm touching more wood, that I have never missed a show in my entire career. I've just jinxed it now, but I've never, ever, ever missed a show, or being so bad, so extreme with through health or anything. Well, there was a time in Swansea Grand where myself and Kevin Johns, went to a couple other people as well. Melandra Burrows was there and Helen Fraser. We went to a hospital, children's hospital, a couple of days before Christmas. And Kev and I both got this sickness thing. And we were doing Christmas Eve matinee with buckets in the wings. We were running on stage, doing our bit and running even faster back to the wings to be sick into the wings. So that wasn't a great time. That wasn't a great time. And that came, we got a bug from a child that was in the hospital, which is such a shame because we had such a lovely day. But that's what we took away from that experience. But that, I'll always remember that. That was such a horrible time.
Something to look back on though, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it's one for the memoirs.
Do you keep like a diary or anything like that?
I have a memory box and I have a photograph album, like a scrapbook. As far as diary things, I don't really take a diary, but I do have everything. I've got flyers galore, things that people have sent me, all that. I'd keep everything, and I've got a wall in my house which has all the Panto flyers on, and yeah, no, I think it's important to keep all that because I wouldn't probably remember half of this stuff, if I didn't, because I like to sit and look through it. I haven't looked through it for a long time. You've put me in the mood to look through it now. I haven't looked through it for a long time, so but it's good to again see all the faces and go, gosh, that was a great time and that was a great season and they were lovely people, and so that's nice. But yeah, I've got nice things to look back on.
As a seasoned pro, how many productions is it you've done now in total?
Panto's now, this is maybe my 14th year.
14th, and you're
42.
42, so that's pretty good going, to be fair.
Well, Balamory, I think so too. So let me think, 2, 3, 4. Because I took time off because we did I've done a few CBeebies arena tours and a few Balamory tours, and they happen at Christmas. So that took me away from Panto for maybe 3 or 4 years. Not back to back, but dotted amongst the Pantos. So it would be more.
What would be your advice to give the up and comers, the people who look at you and go, I want to do what he's doing?
Listen to what people have to say to you. I think that's how I learned. I was learning from. And believe what they say. That's the thing. I think sometimes you can go, I've got an idea for this, and you can try something, a routine, and you go, this really works. But actually going back to the tradition and back to how it works, understanding that first and then tweaking. I think it's really kind of learning from people that have gone before you and have done the job and know how to do the job. I mean, that's invaluable, really. So my advice would be to see Pantos and to learn from the best, from the people that are there. And if they're willing to tell you and to explain how something works and why something's funny, then it's worth listening to, because they've done it. They don't just do it once when you see it. They do it a full season. They do it every day, twice. And so in January when they come off and they're literally half a stone lighter and, beaming from ear to ear, they've got stories to tell. They've got certainly things that have happened and tweaks and that they've made to their own material. It's hard work, but be prepared for it to be hard work. Allow it to be hard work because it's fun, and rehearse and rehearse and rehearse and get it right. Because you can't teach experience. So do it. Just do it. That's my advice. Get in front of a mirror or something that's like a stand up or an opening spot used to terrify me. A script would turn up in the door and it would land on the thing and you'd open it up and it would just say Silly Billy's opening spot, and I wanted to vomit into a glass because it would frighten me. Whereas now I go, right, where am I going? What am I doing? What am I saying this year? What am I singing? That's exciting, And as I do, I collect my little notes during the year. That's quite useful for me. Because then when you get that script and it does land on the floor, you don't go, right, what am I doing? Because all I do is I open up that thing and say, how can I condense all this and make it topical and make it fun? And it works. For me, it works.
What do you do in your downtime?
I do a lot of I do like to go and see theatre, so I try my best to do little jaunts down to London and catch up with friends and do things like that. I teach singing, which I really love to do. So I do a bit of that as well. Not as much as I'd like to do, to be honest, but it's enjoyable. And I watch box sets of criminal programs like CSI and Criminal Minds, and I mean, I could kill somebody and get away with it. Absolutely, I really could.
Where's the door?
Yeah, exactly. No, I love that. I really do. I love all that mastermind behind it, and I try and kind of guess along with it. I'm on the side of the, of the goodies on it. I try and work out who's done it, but I always kind of try and work it on. I love it. So that's my little guilty pleasure is these crime programs, and I think it's just because it's so different from what I do. You just when you're doing all that kind of jolly. I like horror films as well, but I think it's when you do all that kind of all the nice things and colours and lights and music, and sometimes you just want to shut the curtains and put on a horror, or that's quite nice, isn't it?
Preparation for a future ugly sister.
I'm working on it. Yeah,
Do it.
yeah, definitely. No, it needs to happen.
We always have one last question we always finish up on, and that is the dream panto question,
Okay.
where we would like to know, what is your dream pantomime? You can either be in it, or you could be sitting in the audience watching it. Your dream cast.
Oh wow, goodness. Right, so this has to be. It has to be in the King's Theatre in Glasgow. That's where it needs to be. So it needs to be on that stage because that theatre is really important to me. I love that theatre. I've been on the stage many times. Never in Panto, actually, funnily enough. So I think I would sit in the audience because it would be a bit strange for me to be on it because I would love to watch it. And I think I'd have to make sure that I would surrounded it by friends. Again, having really great people. So Panto I'd love to watch would be. Let's do Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs because I love that as well. And we always love a Wicked Queen, don't we? So who would be my Wicked Queen? I think it would be Juliet Cadsall because she's very good. She's very good at those roles. She's doing it this year in Aberdeen actually. And then I would have Elaine C. Smith as the Dame character. Liam Dolan would be the comic, and then I'd probably have to have like a henchman and another. But I'd have to do like two characters again, because I'd want Johnny Mac to be there because he would need to be there. Who else would I want in it? Goodness.
They can be alive or dead.
Oh really? Oh,
Yeah.
see now you're sneaking that in.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, I'm changing my
I
answer.
thought you'd been listening to the.
Oh,
Well, would you like
goodness.
to rewind?
Oh, definitely. Definitely. Alive or dead. We'll say I'm wanting Ricky Fulton in there. Absolutely. So I think we'll have Ricky Fulton in the Dame. And I think I'd have Jack Mulroy there as well. So he'd be the silly. Or the henchman actually probably would work for him. I'd keep Liam Dolan there. Yeah, great. Oh gosh, we've got so many people, so many great kind of. Yeah, definitely. I'd love to see Ricky Fulton again on stage. It'd just be amazing.
Did you see him when he was
I
alive?
did, yeah, I did. I actually saw them. I actually saw them as Francie and Josie, and I also saw them in Panto together. And it's just a dream, really. They're just funny people. And it'd be lovely to see Gerard Kelly back. It would lovely. I mean, that's a sore spot, to be honest. But yeah, that would be a dream. That would definitely be a dream cast. Remember them? Oh, imagine them together: Stanley Baxter, Ricky Fulton, Jack Mulroy, Gerard Kelly. I don't think you'd need anyone else.
A lady. I need a lady.
Oh, Elaine, obviously. Dorothy Paul. Dorothy Paul is just funny. Imagine having Dorothy Paul and Elaine C. Smith as your uglies. going against type here. So let's change Panto. Elaine C. Smith, Dorothy Paul as Uglies. Then you've got Ricky Fulton, Stepmother, which would be phenomenal. Then Jared as Buttons. And then I've got Jack Mulroy as Dandini, slightly against type, we'll be fine. And then who could we have as the Prince Charming? I'm keeping it Scottish, you see. We're in Glasgow Kings, so I'm keeping it Scottish in my mind. I'm thinking maybe Marty Pellow, get him as the Prince. Obviously, we're all over the place here. What else? Yeah, that'd be great. Well, I'm seeing it in my head now. That's fun.
Well, thank you, Andrew, for your time.
Not at all.
It's been an absolute pleasure.
Great fun. Yeah. Thank you for having me. Love it.
The Panto Podcast.